Hello, how are we doing today? Today we're going to talk about Flexa Network and the AMP token. But before we get to the AMP token, you need to understand what Flexa is and at least have a rough understanding of how it works. So Flexa is the global leader in peer digital payments, as you can see. What that means is they are the leader in the cryptocurrency payment sector, essentially, which means, as far as like integrating crypto and getting it adopted in the wider world, they're pretty much right at the forefront of that. How they do that is through their Flexa SDK, and it's important that I say SDK because that's pretty much all that Flexa is. It's an SDK, which means it can be embedded in really any crypto wallet and then used to spend your cryptocurrency in anywhere that supports the Flexa network, which is currently about 41,000 resale locations across the US and Canada, but they're forming new partnerships every day. And so that number is definitely going to keep growing. So why, would companies want to do this? Well, for one, they don't have to worry about any risk of fraud because Flexa gives, they advertise the most fraud-proof payments network in the world, guaranteed settlement, flexible integration, which means it integrates directly into pre-existing point of service hardware. For example, they're partnered with NCR, which is National Cash Register. If you don't know who they are, they're really one of the bigger payments processing, hardware companies out there. They do, a lot of business with a lot of different companies. If you just pay attention, you will see them. I know for a fact they're at Chipotle. I think Starbucks uses them. They're all over the place, basically. They're a payments processing company. You'll notice them if you pay attention. They also just formed a partnership with Oris. It's just pretty similar to NCR. It's another payment processing company. 6 billion annual payment interactions they advertise. 4 continents, 25 countries and counting. Trusted home of 17 of the top 100 retailers. So those are some pretty big companies. That's a pretty big partnership. So Flexa, as I said, it's an SDK. It embeds very simply without any extra hardware. Companies that use it, who use these companies, don't have to buy anything else. They just turn it on, and then they can start accepting cryptocurrency payments. They get guaranteed instant settlement in the currency of their choice. How the hell are they doing that, you're wondering? Well, it's because of the AMP token, but we're going to get to that. They say the new paradigm, fast fraud-proof networks, guaranteed settlement, flexible integration offerings. They have a variety of different ways to implement. Give your customers to pay in the currency of their choice. So yeah, they don't actually just support cryptocurrencies. In theory, they could facilitate payment with US dollars. So for instance, maybe you're in Spain and you want to spend your US dollars, but you don't want to, go through the hassle of swapping it at like an exchange. You could use the Flexa network, pay with your US dollars. The company would get, the place that you're paying at would get whatever currency they want. So maybe euros, maybe, I don't know, maybe they want US dollars. It doesn't really matter. And it would be 100% guaranteed, and you could spend wherever. So these are their apps currently right now. These two are the ones that are out. The Gemini Pay, which is really pretty much the main one, and then the Spedin app, which is more of a proof of concept than anything. So Gemini Pay, if you don't know what Gemini is, they're a cryptocurrency exchange. They are owned by the Winklevoss twins, who got into Bitcoin very, very early. Gemini Pay, this is their partnership with Flexa. As you can see, no transaction fees. Spend your dollars in Gemini with you know, a stable coin. If you didn't want to spend your crypto, you could use a stable coin. You could use whatever. So yeah, then they give you a quick little rundown of how to do it, how it works. So you can see Gemini X Flexa. So yeah, they're partnered with Gemini. They're partnered with the Winklevoss twins. They're co-founded with Consensus. They're co-founded with Consensus, who, if you don't know who they are, the most trusted Ethereum blockchain solutions. Software engineering leader in the blockchain space, yada, yada, yada. What you really need to know, Joseph Lubin, the founder and CEO of Consensus, is a co-founder of Ethereum. So really some pretty big partnerships going on with NCR, Oris. You know, they've got Consensus, they've got Gemini. These are some big partnerships. So where can you use the Flexa network? Just off the top of my head, the companies that really stand out are like Lowe's, Nordstrom Rack, Crate and Barrel, Office Depot. I mean, there's a lot of different places. GameStop, I know, is one. I think AMC is one. So yeah, you can see a little trend there. Wall Street Bets, yada yada yada, ha ha ha. Yeah, and then there are these other wallets that are going to be coming soon. The BRD, CoinList, they're all working on coming out and implementing Flexa, CoinMe, Dharma. There's all of these different, I don't know what these all are. I guess they're all wallets and various different things. They're all working right now to implement Flexa so that you can spend your crypto, you can spend your stable coins, you can spend your US dollars in Europe or your euros in the US or anywhere you want, really. So you might be asking, how the hell does all of this actually work? So that is where the AMP token comes in. As you can see, it says collateral for fast and efficient value transfer. That's a lot of big words. If you don't understand it, basically it is a token that is staked to support other people spending their digital assets in brick and mortar stores. Collateral, it means that it backs the value, it guarantees the value for the business. Actually, it really guarantees it for Flexa, because how Flexa works is they pay the business instantly in whatever currency the business wants. And then while the transaction is processing, like for instance, you know, when you go to a store, you don't want to stand around for 30 seconds to 30 minutes, even if you're paying in Bitcoin. You want to, you know, pay and walk right out the door, and the business, you know, needs to be able to let you do that, because, you know, if they pay and then, you know, the Bitcoin just doesn't come through, like, well, they're shit out of luck. But not through the Flexa network. This is where the AMP token comes in. So people who own AMP token can stake their AMP token to what's called the capacity, which you access through the Flexa network. So what you do is you come to flexa.network, you resources, you go to capacity, and this is where you would stake your AMP to if you were to stake. So you know, connect your wallet and then send your AMP tokens to whatever app you wanted to support. So right now it's only, as I said, it's only Gemini and Spedin, but in the future there will be others, that would be the BRD, the CoinMe, etc. So you could support any of those wallets. And, you know, why would you want to do this? Well, you get paid rewards in the form of AMP token. Up until now, they haven't been charging merchants any fees, just because, you know, they're trying to operate out of goodwill, I guess, during the COVID pandemic, build up some business, I guess, that way. So they've been paying stakers with just AMP that they have in reserve, but in June of 2021, pending them not actually changing it, it's going to change where they are going to start charging fees to the businesses. Keep in mind, these fees are actually lower than what something like Visa or MasterCard would be charging. So as you can see, actually, it looks like some AMP just got paid as rewards for people. Or maybe someone staked the network, but that was like 2,000, so I don't know. Anyways, you stake the network, you get paid in rewards. Starting in June of 2021, those rewards will be bought off of the open market. So right now they're just paid out of their AMP token, but in the future they will be purchased off of the open market. And that has multiple effects, one of which is that it creates, stability for AMP tokens. So it's actually, in theory, going to be one of the more stable tokens that you can own, because, it needs to be. It needs to act as collateral. It needs to hold, a value that it can be, liquidated in. Why would that happen? Well, so far they advertise that they've never had really any money lost at all. So it's rare. But if it were to happen, a percentage of the staked AMP would get liquidated onto the open market, proportional. So anyone who's staking would lose a certain amount of AMP proportional to their stake of the whole market. But I mean, think about it. There's 23 billion AMP staked right now. Unless you have, a billion plus AMP, you're not going to notice a big change in your value. I mean, you're not really at that much risk. Your rewards are going to outweigh the risk 99% of the time. But yeah, so basically that's how they guarantee the instant and 100% guaranteed, payment to the merchants, is because, while Flexa waits for their Bitcoin to come in, or whatever, they have the AMP backing the value of the transaction, and if anything were to go wrong, some AMP would get liquidated, and nobody would really end up being that hurt, because the stakers are getting paid, for their service. The merchants already got paid instantly in whatever currency they wanted, and Flexa doesn't lose any money because the AMP is backing it as collateral. In theory, the continuous upward buy pressure that's going to start here in June from paying AMP rewards should kind of help create stability and maybe drive the price of the token up. But they don't really advertise it that way. But that's pretty much how it operates. It's not advertised that way, but that's kind of what it does. So this is AMP token, collateral for a fast and efficient value transfer. You stake your AMP, you get paid rewards, you're helping other people spend their cryptos out in the world, or really whatever. As you see here, it says AMP is asset agnostic. What does that mean? It means it can facilitate value transfer across any sort of transaction. If you want to buy a house, you could use AMP as collateral. If you want to buy a coffee, you could use AMP as collateral. If you want to, I don't know, do anything, you buy a piece of art, buy new shirt, anything, AMP can back that. It doesn't necessarily have to be crypto, but it could be Bitcoin, it could be US dollars, it could be Cambodian dollars, it could be Ether, it could be Gemini US dollars, it could be Tether, whatever. It could be anything. And it can back that and guarantee that that transfer is going to go through. It's pretty incredible. Built for the long term. It's open source, decentralized, thoroughly vetted outside security researchers. Yeah. See, Flexa developed by Flexa and Consensus. You can find the AMP white paper if you just Google AMP white paper or use DuckDuckGo like I am. You just find amptoken.org/whitepaper.pdf. I would not download it from anywhere else, since you do have to download it to PDF. Only download it from amptoken.org. You can read their white paper, learn all about it. There's only so much that I can say in a short video about how it works, but there's all sorts of things. If you're going to read any section at all, read the abstract, obviously. And then, there's, where is it? Let's see here. Read the token economics section. so you can understand how the token works, how the token's value comes about. Because, as I said, Flexa is not actually a company, they're an SDK. So how does that work? Why are the people behind Flexa, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, how are they getting paid? Well, they have a vested interest in, AMP token doing well and Flexa doing well, because in here it tells you the AMP token, here you go, AMP serves as a medium for accruing value while aligning the incentives of all participants. This is achieved via virtuous feedback loops of increasing spending capacity, coupled with a non-inflationary reward distribution. Fundamental economic models demonstrate that AMP functions as low volatility collateral, with its value compounding exclusively as a result of the utility it provides. So as AMP becomes more and more useful, it will become more and more valuable. By enabling decentralized ownership and participation in financial networks, applications built on AMP can become orders of magnitudes more cost efficient than existing systems and help eliminate the overwhelming deadweight loss of traditional social and economic structures for financial transactions. That's a big way of saying by spreading out all the risk among people who are staking their AMP, you can save a lot of money versus old legacy payment rails like Visa. And I'm not going to go into how that works necessarily, but basically, they're cutting out a lot of middlemen. When you use your Visa card, when you use your MasterCard, you're actually, it doesn't seem like it seems like it happens instantly. You're only communicating with, the POS, but no, you're actually sending, a signal to 7 or 8 different banks 2 or 3 different times, and it just happens really quickly, so you don't really think about it. But that's a lot of room for fraud to happen. That's a lot of people who want to take a piece of that and get theirs, So by cutting out all those different banks, which is what AMP is really seeking to do, ultimately, they can reduce those fees. You might think it's not that much, but it actually is. It actually accounts for a lot of money. For instance, Walmart, I know spends about $5 billion a year. That's with a B, $5 billion a year on payments. That's what they're paying in fees to companies like Visa and MasterCard. And, because they're such a massive company, they're getting the best rates. And it's, the small little, mom and pop stores that are getting the worst rates. They're getting, 5% versus Walmart that's getting 3%. Walmart, they're getting the best rates. So you can see, AMP only is 1 or maybe 1%, less than 1%. I mean, think about that. It's less than 1% versus something like Visa or MasterCard, which is up to 3% in transaction fees. That is a very straightforward value proposition, and that is why AMP token is going to do very well, regardless of how crypto does. Not financial advice, by the way. You can also find the Flexa white paper. Again, only get it from flexa.network/whitepaper.pdf. But here you can see this is from May 2019, so it's pretty old. They might actually, let's see. They rebranded their old coin, Flexa coin. They rebranded it to AMP. So anywhere you see Flexa coin, it's not just a rebrand, they actually improved upon it. I'm not necessarily a great expert on what they did, but I do know that they improved upon it. I think they made it more open source and stuff, so you had to actually convert your Flexa coin into AMP tokens when this happened. But anywhere in this you see them talking about Flexa coin, you can infer that they're actually talking about AMP now, because that is basically what Flexa coin has become. You can read their white paper to figure out all what they're about. I've tried to give you a rundown, but again, there's only so much I can say. And then let's talk about the people who are behind. Actually, no, hold on. This is the actual circulating supply. As you can see, again, amptoken.org/metrics/circulating supply. This is the actual circulating supply of AMP. I've seen a lot of people quoting numbers about 10 billion, which is just wrong. I think that information largely comes from CoinMarketCap. No hate on them, but that is just, it's wrong. You can tell that it's wrong. Like, look, there are 23 billion amp staked to the capacity. How could there only be 10 billion amp in total? This is the actual circulating supply, straight from amptoken.org. The maximum supply is right around 100 billion, but they will not all be in circulation until 2045. And there is some information on where those tokens are and how they're being released, but the schedule of the way they're being released. But yeah, now we can talk about the founders. Tyler Spalding, co-founder; Trevor Filter, co-founder; Zachary Kilgore, co-founder; Daniel McCabe, co-founder. If you're interested in these people, they have a long history of time spent in various different programs. As you can see, Tyler was in NASA. He was faculty at the University of Alabama, faculty at University of Miami. I mean, he's done things for the Air Force. He was a researcher at MIT. He founded Raise, which is it's the world's largest gift card marketplace, over 1 billion in sales. Went to Harvard Business School, Massachusetts Institute, MIT for Masters in Business Administration, Aerospace, Astronautical Engineering, Mechanical Engineering, University of Illinois. Likewise, Trevor Filter co-founded Raise. He was a senior product manager for Amex. Slide, I don't really know much about them. He was a research assistant at the MIT Media Lab. He went to MIT, patented a bunch of stuff, done a lot of great things. Zachary Kilgore, likewise, worked at Raise, co-founded Flexa, worked at Slide, Warby Parker. I mean, these are some pretty big companies. And Daniel McCabe, he is their general counsel. And likewise, he has been involved in capital management. Went to Northwestern. Point is, smart group. They put their names and faces on the project. That it helps. It makes me feel a little more confident that they're not just in it to cash out and disappear. They're here to stay. They have a vested interest in Flexa and AMP Token doing well, because that's part of how they're getting paid. They have a stake in it. They own some AMP Token. I forget the exact amount, but I think there's roughly 20% of the circulating supply that's reserved for founders and employees combined. So all the employees and all the founders and people who work there over the course of, again, the next 24 years will be paid out of that 20% capacity. There's also some tokens, I think it's, again, maybe 20%, that are reserved for development of apps on the Flexa Network. So, companies that want to use the Flexa SDK, they earn AMP as a reward for doing that. In return, the AMP has to be stake locked for a year, so they can't withdraw it right away and just dump it. They have to stake it for a whole year if they want it. And then there's also some others that I think are in like Gemini and Coinbase custody. Right now, it's only really listed on, well, actually, that's not true. Hold on. It's not only listed on Gemini, but the easiest place to get it, if you're in the US at least, is Gemini. You can get it on some of these dexes, Bittrex, Poloniex. I think you can get it on maybe SushiSwap. Don't quote me on that. Uniswap. I think there's a few different places you can get it. But Gemini is probably going to be your best bet if you can access it. Yeah, so there you go. This is AMP. This is the Flexa Network. These are their partners. Yeah, there you go. That's a wrap. Not financial advice. Not a financial advisor. Do this at your own risk. All crypto is at your own risk. Do your own research. Verify my claims. Read the white papers, and so on. Have a good day.